Hey everybody, welcome to day 20 of Bible 365. It's getting late and I've got to be into work at like 3 in the morning, so this is probably going to be short, but the good thing is it's a short little passage that we're looking at. We're looking at resolving conflict within the church, which is never a fun thing to do, but it's something that we've got to do in order to focus on the gospel. So let's take a look at the text. Philippians chapter 4, verses 2 and 3. I plead with Euodia, and I plead with Syntyche, to agree with each other in the Lord. Yes, and I ask you, loyal yokefellow, help these women who have contended at my side in the cause of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of my fellow workers, whose names are in the book of life. So there's an old joke about 6 guys that get shipwrecked on a deserted island. And 2 of them are Jews, 2 of them are Catholics, and 2 of them are Baptists. Well, as the story goes, the 2 Jews go and they start a new synagogue and begin to worship together. Maybe it's New Jerusalem Synagogue. Then you've got the 2 Catholics who, build a basilica, St. Peter's. It's a cathedral that's there, and they worship together. Then you got the 2 Baptists who argue about who's going to get to be First Baptist. If you've never been part of a church split or a division of a church, just wait. It's probably going to happen someday. That's kind of a sad thing. A lot of times I think that in church we tend to shy away from confrontation, and instead of meeting things head on and dealing with whatever conflict might be there, we just decide to turn tail and run, either go start another church or go find another church that we won't have such a conflict with. But what happens? We just get in more conflict once we get there. And I believe that we're called to deal with these conflicts instead of glossing over them. We shouldn't pretend like they don't exist. We're mature Christians. We have the same beliefs. Let's address the situation in the correct way. Well, Jesus gives us the way to do this, and Paul hints at it here as he's talking to these 2 women very directly and asking them to, urging them to agree in the Lord and get past whatever their conflict is, so that they can continue in the work of the gospel. Jesus puts forward these ideas by saying, first, it's the matter of the 2 people that are involved in the conflict to resolve this conflict. I think a lot of people just skip this part. They skip the step where they go to the other person who either they have offended or has offended them, and just clear the air to say, hey, this is what's happened. How can we resolve this? It's never fun. It's not a enjoyable thing to resolve conflict, but it's something we're called to do so that we can continue on in the good work instead of getting our feelings hurt and running away. So we're called to kind of meet it head on there. Now, if it doesn't work, we can't do that, then we call in a mediator, call in a third party who is more objective and outside the situation, so that they can help to look at both sides and come to an objective conclusion. And then if that doesn't work, then we've got to bring it before the church. Well, it looks like it's come to the point now that Paul's saying, you guys need to bring in a third party if you can't figure it out on your own. And we need to do that. We need to get past these kind of conflicts so that we can continue to glorify God in ministry. And that's something, these ladies are saints. They're part of the church. This isn't a question of whether or not they're a Christian. This isn't a question of their doctrine. Part of the matter, it could have just been a misunderstanding between the 2 of them, and now they don't get along, and one of them is talking bad about the other one behind their back. There's nothing saying these ladies aren't saved, or that they are even behaving in a manner that is contradictory of their faith. But Paul says this conflict has come to a point that it's stopping the work of the gospel moving forward. And that can't happen. That can't happen. Our own personal feelings and our personal hurts have to come secondary to Jesus and his gospel. So, hope that's been helpful for you. I hope if you're dealing with a situation where you're, you know, maybe upset with somebody who's in the church, or they've said something and you haven't confronted them and just said, hey man, we're Christians here. We both believe the same thing. I just want to clear the air and make sure that we can work together for the good of the church and the good of the gospel. Thanks for watching. You can follow along at Engaging Culture on Twitter or engagingculture.wordpress.com on the website, or you can just subscribe below and continue to get updates here on YouTube. Thanks. God bless. Hope you all have a great night.